Can you talk to me about some of the things that you think about, know about, that there's some of the problems with biodiversity below the waves, Patrick?
Yeah, of course, one of the problems, we are all aware about this now because numbers, I mean, it's a buzzword today, is the plastic pollution and contamination. Most everybody knows about it today. But there is another one, probably as equal, as more as, I mean, of the same importance. This is the direct killing and immediate killing in the oceans. Lost or abandoned fishing gear represent 10% of the pollution of the seas. Okay, this is pollution. But this represents 640,000 tons of active equipment designed to kill. And when the equipment is abandoned, it will continue to kill every second, all the years. So this is something that people are not generally aware. And this is what I would like maybe to emphasize this afternoon.
Great stuff. And so, because what it is, I think that it's actually only very recently that biodiversity below the waves has become an issue. In the UK, we had a program called the Blue Planet. I'm not sure if you saw this in France as well. It's very powerful impact, and there's a lot of focus on plastics. But as Patrick is talking about here, I think we've got to think about the biodiversity in a holistic sense. And there's actually an oceans talk earlier on today. Some of you might have gone to that. But I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation. So if you want to show us what your solution is, and actually before you do that, can you pass me my pad just down there? Thank you. So yeah, talk to us about your solution that you have to us.
So this is the remote control for the slides?
Correct.
Or, okay,
yeah.
And this is?
Big green one.
The green one. 80% of the fishing in the world is done by using a method of static cages and nets. Nets and cages lying on the seabed. So in these methods, there are signs on the surface that indicates to the fisherman where to find the equipment. The problem with this type of fishing is that because of storms, because of traffic, because this kind of fishing is done in the continental platform level, so there is a lot of traffic, but also vandalism. 20% of the equipment is lost per year, and it's about 2% with the nets and 20 to 25% with cages. So this is just enormous. I give you some numbers. I don't want to absorb you with a lot of numbers. Canada, more precisely, only Chesapeake Bay. 3.3 million crabs and lobsters have been killed or died during the last 3 years, just because of lost traps. Only in the Mauritanian coast, 1 million octopussy pots are lost per year. 1 million just for Mauritania. We even find some plastics residuals in Norway from these pots in Mauritania. But again, for me, pollution is something, but these pots, there are 1 million octopussy just dying every year. Just in Europe, according to the FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, they have a lot of data there, but also non-governmental organizations. In Europe, 20% of traps are lost per year. So this is just not a problem, this is just a global problem, even in Japan and so on. So the solution we have found is this. This is a smart boy. Oh, it's smart. So in fact, the fisherman, he will continue to use his fishing gear normally. So he will just
put this on the water with the equipment, with the fishing gear. So the buoy will go and sink with the equipment. When the fisherman is coming back using his GPS normally, even if he's not very close to the buoy, he will activate a coded sound signal. So it's acoustic because we are below the water. So he will send an acoustic coded signal. The buoy will receive it. A servo control will be activated, and the buoy will raise to the surface. So then the fisherman just has to collect his equipment. So because it is below the water, then we have no problem with storms, because we have only current, and it is designed, of course, to support high current. We don't have vandalism, and we don't have traffic. I mean, it's something like 60 meters below the water. So this is basically our solution.
So that's fantastic that you've kind of identified that problem and come up with a solution. Tell us a bit about your journey to that. Why are you personally passionate about this? Why have you got involved in this as a business?
So personally, but we are three of us, huh? But personally, I bought my first boat before my first car. I was 17. I sail over the world, and I am a scuba diver. So I can really see this stuff there. And almost every time I do a scuba diving, I see this equipment below the water. Patrice, who is the inventor of the product, started to fish at 4 on the sea. And Jacques, the third founder, is also sailing, navigating. Also, I am an engineer, and my passion is to use high tech to solve complex problems. And it is a very simple solution, but it is a very complex problem. We have to communicate below the water. So as you know, there is nothing radio there, so it's only acoustic. But only military need to communicate below the water, under the water. So we need to have a very high technology to have these signals coded. And also we are 60 meters below the water, so there is a problem with moving parts having to be absolutely suited correctly. So this is a technical challenge. But also, you need to put a lot of experience and be very strong in convincing people to invest in your company, to convince the government to help fishermen to start the journey. So 3 of us, we are 55. And it is the time of your life where you have to have sense. And it makes sense for us to bring our experience and expertise to such a beautiful journey.
So that's fantastic, because what it is, it's like your personal connections with it have given you the understanding that things are changing and that there's a problem. And then you've applied some of your skills like engineering to help make it work. One thing that, this is obviously kind of a big thing, which is like it's a piece of technology. And so something that came to mind for me is on an economic level, which we were talking about earlier, fishermen, obviously they have a livelihood. What's the return on investment? Well, why would they, on an economic basis, be interested in using this technology?
Yeah, this is the main problem with this kind of approach where we're using high technology to solve these problems. We have to find an economical justification. If we don't, it's going to be very difficult. It is so difficult when you have an economical justification, so if there is no economical justification, it will not last. So such an equipment, so the controller, the probe, and 8 buoys cost about 5,000 euros. 5,000 euros. But because the fisherman is losing his fish, his catch, when he is not finding his net or cage, he is losing the gasoline, he's losing the salary, the equipment. A net could cost something like 2,000 euros. The return on investment for a fisherman is about a year and a half. And this was the main reason we started this business, because for us, not finding a return on investment would be in no way. But even with this, we need to have absolutely the governments to fund the fishermen to start. because it is not natural for a fisherman to think about high tech, not to fish a little bit more efficiently, but to invest in long term. So those are the two parts. It has to be self-sufficient in terms of business, but it has to be also co-funded by governments and private money.
So are you talking at all with any governments about how this is going to be delivered?
Yeah. It's a pity because we know that the money is there. For example, I was in Dubai at the beginning of the year, and I was able to talk directly to the governments. And they said to me, I mean, this is a product we were waiting for years. This solves a problem. They are fishing only with traps there. And between 30 to 40% of these traps can be lost per year. So even fishermen, they don't do this business anymore because, I mean, there is no outcome of it. So we are talking about having 50% fund from the government, but this is a direct talk. In Europe, it's very complicated. Funds are available in Brussels. They are also available in countries. But the process for the fisherman to have this money invested with him is so long that they don't ask for it. And the problem we see is that funds are not used at the end of the year, not totally, and that Europe is just reducing the budget just because it is not used. And for me, I mean, it's just amazing. So the efficiency of the world funding process is also something to be addressed if we want to change now.
Yes. And so on this process, how long have you been running this business?
10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
And how long have you had this product?
No. This product, we are 10 years working on this product.
Oh,
10
really?
years of R&D. 1.5 million has been spent to develop this technology just for these problems.
Wow.
Just another example. In the North Sea, the buoy will be iced at minus 40. They will put the buoy into the water. It has to work. In Dubai, it's plus 40. And the equipment has to work exactly the same way with the electronics, with the battery, and so on. So the use of the product is something very difficult to industrialize. So this is why it has been so long.
And how far are you from kind of like going fully to market?
Okay, so now the product is working perfectly. It has been tested by Fisherman. And in fact, we are here to find funds to now be able just to produce the product, because we have something, I mean, 2 million boats in the world are concerned. And these boats are not the big ones. They are not trawlers. They are what we call some small jobs. In France, it's petit métier. This is a small fisherman's, I mean, maximum 12 meters long boat. So 2 million boats are considered in the world. But this is millions and millions and millions of people living directly from this fishing industry and indirectly. So there is also this human side of the element that is to be considered.
And how much have you actually worked directly with fishermen and fisherwomen? Are there many fisherwomen?
Very little, unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought so.
Very little.
So fisher people, how much have you been working with them?
So yes, since 10 years we are working with them. First, they don't like theory. They like people that are with them. And they don't like people telling them what to do just because they have never been on the sea and they have no clue of what's happening there. So to talk with fishermen, we have to be with them, understand, and then they start to integrate you into the process.
Of course. So on this journey, 10 years now, people are here, they're interested in biodiversity, but maybe they're interested in entrepreneurship as well. What sort of, have you got some lessons that you might have learned and battle scars that you've had or great tips that you can give for success?
So not being alone, having a strong team, very strong and linked together, because accidents are just standard. And you are very disappointed, and sometimes it takes time. So you have to be together, complementary as well. So just to support this long run, And also having around you the best people, the best competencies, no compromise, and not going further if you see that there is no financial positive journey at the end. You have to have a clear view on the time it will spend, so for this business is just sustainable. Because then the energy to put is too enormous that you will not have the energy at the end.
Great. And so have you found that this is something you've enjoyed? Would you recommend being an entrepreneur to the audience?
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, in the morning when you wake up, you know why you wake up. You have nobody really that tells you what to do, but you have somebody much stronger than the others telling what to do, but this is just inside. And this is the best thing I can share or advise to people. Be an entrepreneur. And you can be an entrepreneur within Think Group. I'm an engineer. I spend a lot of time with big groups as being a top manager and so on. And you can be an entrepreneur even if in a small, very small business. I mean, it's a question of just self-leadership and determinism on where you are going. So it's not a question just to be and to create a company, but just to be an entrepreneur as yourself. And as far as the subject that we are conducting, changing is just about entrepreneurship. You have to decide to change.